welcome. It's your first night of the Detox. We call it the Purification Program because it is actually going to work on the liver, and this is something that I've done for 13 years. I personally do it. I'm personally doing it with you. I always do it in October because my birthday is October 22nd, so I always like to do it as I go into my next year feeling amazing, sleeping better, feeling better, and it's just something that I started doing about 14 years ago. I had patients coming to me saying, you know what, I feel toxic, and my blood work is good, I just don't feel good, what's wrong with me? So that one put me on the quest to say, oh, okay, let me look at this big picture I have here. So I went around to when we were at the convention, and I talked to all the different vendors, and I decided on this program for a couple reasons, because one, it's 21 days. 21 days to make a habit change is always necessary. The other thing I really liked about it is that it was all natural. I didn't want any chemicals. There were a lot of other programs out there. It was using synthetic stuff, and it was so against my core, and I'm just so passionate about eating well and eating good food that I didn't want to do something that was synthetic. So I was really into the standard process, and I've been using them in my office. So of course I had to rope my office manager and another friend in to do this, because I wasn't going to tell patients to do it if I hadn't done it, because as you know, if I practice what I preach. So we did it, and I was really amazed. And I had come off of an injury that I had broken my leg, so I put on that just like 10 pounds. It couldn't seem to get off, and I mean that was like came off right away. So this is not really a weight loss program. One of the side effects is you'll lose weight, but more importantly, we're going to affect the liver, which affects everything, and we'll talk about that. Each night I'll bring something new to the table for you. Talk about sugar, talk about fat, talk about chemicals, talk a little bit more about chemicals, since you've seen the chemicals before, not seen the chemicals before. And that'll help to kind of enlighten you why we want to do this, why we need to do this. We have some of you here that I know they're exposed to chemicals all day long. That's how we work. You know, if you drive a car, if you're in carpet with new carpet, formaldehyde you're exposed to. And you know, unless you're buying exclusively organic or growing your own vegetables and are responsible for what goes on them, you have pesticides, fungicides, and all that kind of stuff. So we'll talk about all that as we go. So I've got a couple patients that, you know, they write things. So at the end, I'll have you write something. So someday you'll see your name in lights. This is a patient that, you know, they don't really believe that it's going to do what I say it's going to do. So it's like, believe me now, or hear me now, believe me later. But, you know, she did a great job with it, changed her whole lifestyle, you know, not eating in fast food restaurants. It was not that she was eating, you know, all the time there, but the places she was going were not the choice places. I mean, you can go eat at Ethos, or you can go eat at Nopa. You know, there's places we can eat here in Winter Park. We're so blessed that you can get really good food. So, you know, once again, you know, it's just the overall feeling of the detox. And like I said, we used to call it a detoxification program. We call it purification program because really that's what we're doing. We're purifying the liver. But if it boils down to everything, we're doing phase 1, phase 2 liver detox. And when you do a 10-day detox, it only does phase 1, barely. So, and I'll explain that as we go. So health is a journey, not a destination. So once you get to where you need to be, you don't just stop. I mean, you know, this is a lifestyle change, and hopefully you'll take one thing away from this that will make you make a change. And even if you've done it before, and I've got some people here that have done it before, even though I've done it so many times, I always tweak it just a little bit, and you know, I never really go that far off of it enough that I feel like, oh, you know, I'm ready to do it. But like I said, I always do it in January, I always do it in October. I teach this class, and then in the mid-year, last year we had a gym that wanted to do it, then we had an office group this year that wanted to do it in about May, so we carried on with that, and we did a private one, so we did a small group. So that's something that's always available. So here's the problem. You know, what is toxicity? How do we get there? How do we get rid of it? And you know, and that whole thing there, when we're dealing with the liver, we're dealing with weight and we're dealing with cholesterol. And you'll see how important the liver is as we go. So air pollution is at an all-time high. These are 2010 numbers. That was the only ones I could find, current ones, because it takes them, once they get the data in, it takes them several years to, you know, put the information out. But 4.6 million people die each year from just air pollution. We're a little luckier down here because we're not like a big city, but I tell you in the morning when I come in from, Tavares and on the 414, you can see that little haze we start to get now. And that's not just fog, it's definitely a change in the pollution. Environmental toxins, almost over 14 billion pounds of chemical are dumped into our water and our sewage. And who's ingesting that? We are. So these are all things that we have to be aware of. And then let's just talk about what we eat. Over 16,000 chemicals in our food supply. So, you walk to Publix or any of the grocery stores and you walk down the aisles, and if you're walking down the aisles, you're not shopping properly anyway, because if you go to any of those stores, you should be shopping the outer ring. But, this is huge, and this is where our problem is. So 15 pounds of food additives, 65 pounds of sugar, and it actually is up to 70, and 65 pounds of high fructose corn syrup, which we'll talk about next week. And these are from 2012 numbers. So I'm sure that it's even more now. So don't get used to that because you're not having this on the detox, okay? I'm going to change the way you think. So this is what ingested toxins look like. Now we'll take this out of here, but during the detox, it's not permissible to have the wine, not even grape juice, okay? I'm sorry, I know. Oh, I didn't tell you that part, did I? No alcohol, no caffeine, okay? But this is what our American diet looks like. Not that we eat this way all the time, but if you're out someplace, and when I showed horses, you're at a horse show, unless you bring something, this is what you have to eat. So you have to make your choices wise. So that's one of the big problems we have. So here's where we started, 1988. We were very democratic here. That's not what it means, but it's my joke. So then in 1992, so we go from, if you look at the difference here, it's not available. They don't even worry about it. Then we have less than 30%. Then we have 30 to 35%, and then more than 35%. That's 88. And then just look at the slow progression. We're becoming more Republican as we go. See, look at that. In 1999, we were the most Republican possible. No, 2000. We're all Republicans now. No, I'm just kidding. Not really. That's not what that means. But this is 35% more people, their BMI is over 30, which means they're overweight. And that can be by just, 15 to 20 pounds. So 2010, now I looked this morning, as a matter of fact, tried to find 2012 or 2013. Nothing's available yet. So 2010, so you can see the difference between the two. And now we've added more categories. And here's, Washington, D.C., which is one of the fattest states, and Mississippi, one of the fattest states, if you're from Mississippi. So how do they get in our body? Lungs, digestive tract, skin penetration. That's why we'll talk about chemicals, what we put on our skin, women, when we put makeup on. Lipstick, most of lipsticks have lead in it. So I'll give you some ideas of what products you can use for the future. So here's the big puzzle that we have to put together. So when we're toxic or we have a poor diet, we've got weight gain, we've got fatigue, we've got headaches, we've got allergies, we've got joint pains, hormonal dysfunction. We talk about, if I talk about libido, everybody's like, oh, that'll fix that? Well, it's highly possible, because if the liver's all, messed up, then what happens is the cholesterol's not being produced properly, and the cholesterol's needed for sex hormones. So there's your libido right there. So this is, you can pick at least one or two of these off the list, if not more. And I will guarantee you, I've done this long enough that within the first week, if you've already cut your caffeine down, I'll leave that as a caveat. If you cut your caffeine down, then you won't have any caffeine headaches. But you will sleep better the first week. By Thursday, you'll stop cursing me and you'll feel better. It'll just take that, because you have to get in the groove, and I will get you there, I promise. And that's why I teach it as a class. So there's a video with this, and I can't get the video to work, and I have to work on that. But this is what your gut lining looks like, healthy gut lining. And so when particles of food come in, we have big particles and we have little particles. Well, the little particles are absorbed in these little canals right through here. And that's what we want. That's how the body absorbs the nutrients. The big particles are like fiber from vegetables and stuff like that. We want that to go on. So when the gut's healthy, and that's part of what this will do, is to help heal the gut, then it works fine. Well, this is what a leaky gut looks like. You hear those terms? Well, what leaky gut means is all those little tiny particles can get in there, but now those big particles start getting in here and causing there's a permeability in the lining then, and we have a lot of gastric disturbances and too much to even go into. But this is the 90% of our population because they eat so crappy. So I applaud you for being here because you're going to make a change here. So when we deal with toxins, there's 3 ways they can be managed. We bury them in fat, we deposit them in tissues, or we remove them. And if you think about like cellulite, those are toxins trapped in there. So that's one thing I will tell you with doing the detox. It will help to release some cellulite. Not all of it. I mean, I'm good but not God. But it will help to make a change, okay? And long-term ingestion of low-level toxins leads to what we call disease. So you have all these kids with ADD, people that are having all these, neurological problems. Kids that are having that. Well, it's the food we eat. So here's all our organs of detoxification. We have many. We have lymph, our blood, our lungs, our colon, our skin, our kidneys, and the liver being the most important. So that's why we kind of function on that, because the liver is the key. Oops, I missed one there. I didn't get in there. My liver one. So in chiropractic, when I work on patients, when I'm adjusting, or when Dr. Cooper and I are adjusting patients, we're looking at all these areas through here, which are all levels of getting the body to work properly. So remember, if you're coming in to get adjusted just for neuromuscular, we're also affecting the spine. So, and I always liken getting adjusted to dental work. I mean, you go to the dentist twice a year to get your teeth checked and get them cleaned, and the dentist says, oh, look, you have a cavity here. Well, we can fix that now, or you can wait till it's a big gaping hole and it's the weekend and I'm not in town. So I try to teach you to be a little more proactive, so that's what we do with the spine. So those are all the levels that we adjust in your back that go to all the organs. Here's your liver. So we put the toxins in, and the liver then has to do its deed with it, and we call that phase 1. So some of them get happy, and some of them don't. So some of the toxins, when they come in, they create a secondary toxin. This is where it's so important, and this is why the 10-day just doesn't do enough. It only does phase 1, so you still have these bad guys in here. So then the secondary thing that has to happen is phase 2, to get rid of the toxic byproducts. They get cleaned again, and then they're sent out and transported through urine, sweat, and all the other lungs and all that for the detoxification. So we did the toxicity questionnaire, and so some of it may be surprising to you. If you go online, if you go to my website, drbassoon.com, somewhere on the front there's a red box that says, "Are you toxic?" And I did a little like a survey. So you can go through there and click on that, and it'll give you an actual score and kind of make some recommendations that way. And I did that because it was, people don't really, they think, well, am I toxic? I'm not. But when you go through that, even when I go through it, I forget little stuff that we do all day long, putting hairspray on. We breathe that in. I don't sit there with a mask on when I put my hairspray on. So this gives you kind of a awareness of how toxic we are, and that this is what needs to be improved. So the purification program, here's the purpose. We want to support your liver, your stomach, your bowels, your blood, your kidneys as they filter the toxins, or the xenobiotics, which is the new word that started getting used in the mid-2000s or early 2000s. So we do provide supplementation, some meal replacement with the shakes, but I don't really consider that because you're going to be eating food. And then a 21-day to eliminate chemicals and environmental toxins from your system. So we do it as a doctor prescribed program because the products are pretty potent. I just don't let anybody come in and pick it up. If they've done a detox before, they're welcome to do that. And I try to encourage them to come to the class so they can see. So a couple of things that are going to happen when you go through the detox: improve circulation, sleep patterns, hormone function, just your overall health. We all want to feel young. And if you're sleeping better and recovering, you wake up and you feel better. And you can perform your activities for the day. And I know, Burton, you have skinny jeans you want to get into. The skinny jeans, we want you in those. But what happens is, the liver, this is what we call it the discount double check. Your liver, that belly fat, that's from the liver. So when people carry that, they'll be lean here and they'll be lean up here, but they have the discount double check going on. That's the liver not working right. So, and I guarantee you in a week when you get through this, you'll already notice that your joints will feel better, you're sleeping better, you're feeling better. The people around you are like going, oh, what's wrong with her? She's acting more than normal. So cholesterol also, if you have some cholesterol issues, this is huge. And they've done several studies with this, and this is what I like about it. So we have a couple of patients. I have a patient I call patient X. He's done the detox before. And he's going to do his pre-blood work and post-blood work because I know he did it a long time ago, maybe 10 years ago. So he finally is doing it again, but this is part of it. So this gentleman's cholesterol was 263 with 181 triglycerides. Well, that's pretty high. LDL 174. When the sugar is high in the blood, the triglycerides, the LDL, the liver makes LDL to pick up that triglyceride to carry it through the blood. So the more triglycerides you have, the more LDL you're going to have. So if we know that triglyceride is kind of a sugar word, what would make you think you would get cholesterol from a saturated fat? No, we get it from all the processed foods and the sugars that we eat. So it raises the blood sugar, and the triglycerides raise in response to that, or the liver does in response to the blood there. So after doing the detox, he dropped his cholesterol to 178. Now this was not that far away. He did it with us in July, and then he got his blood work later on. He was set to get it back done in 3 months. But look at his triglycerides. Doing the detox one time, 21 days. So, and dropping his LDL down to 107. Another patient, now, I know only one, there's two other doctors in here, okay? You're not a doctor, but you see this patient has a 344 cholesterol and triglycerides of 787. Just call out one disease you know she has or is going to have. Heart disease, that's one. Give me another one. Diabetes. And we already know that if she's like this, most likely she's going to be overweight. So she's got the 3 troublemakers, and those are all sugar related. So she did the detox with us. She did April 9th, May 7th. This woman she knew she had to do a huge lifestyle. She was like ready. I mean, I said, look, you have no choice. You have to do something. There's not enough medication in the world that's going to fix that. And there's her blood work, 108 down triglycerides. Just by eating, I mean, she was like just a sugaraholic, and so this was a huge change for her, but she had a lot of support at home. Her husband did it with her, and she did amazing things. And this is a patient who did this last year with us. And his cholesterol wasn't bad. His triglycerides are 101, so it puts his risk a little bit high. And then after doing the detox, it dropped it down to 150, 78. And we don't want the cholesterol too much lower than that, because like I said earlier, cholesterol makes sex hormones, so we have guys now that are taking Viagra because they're on statins. They got their cholesterol so low, they're not making cholesterol, so they're not making male hormones, so we got to give them a pill for that. So that's one of those things we want to be aware of. So in your kit, you've got your bags there. You can check while I talk. I want to make sure you should have 1 SP Complete. That'll be the big jug. And then you're going to have 4 boxes in there. And you should have a pill box and a book. You should have 2 gastrofiber, 1 SP Cleanse, yours should be correct. 1 SP Cleanse and 1 green food, SP Green Food. So you're going to be just dealing with the SP Complete, the SP Cleanse, and the gastrofiber for the first week. But I just want to kind of run through what the products are so you know. So unless you're pregnant, you can't do this. Nobody else has a reason in here, okay? They can't. For God's sakes, he's almost 100 years old. No, I'm just kidding.
Only 98.
Only 98, yeah. And he still plays golf. He likes getting older because now he can, golf less than his age. His score is less than his age. So the SP Complete, now, this is not just doing shakes. We're going to be eating food. But I'm just going to explain this part to you because this is the part that gets confusing for people. So the shakes, and I'll tell you how to do a shake, and I'll tell you how to start your day and everything. So the shakes have a lot of nutrients in them. They're antioxidants, and it's one of the big things it does is it supports healthy liver function. It does have some of the whey protein powder in here. If you're a person that feels like you need more whey or more protein, talk to me, and I'll tell you about using something like that. But the whey protein powder that's used in the SP Complete and this has the best, what they call BV, biological value, which means your body can actually utilize it. So some of the stuff you buy in the store, like the grocery store is just got a lot of sugar in it or sucralose in it, so you really have to read the label, and it's synthetic. So a lot of different ingredients in here. You know, Brussels sprouts, buckwheat, kale, all those are amazing for the liver. You know, we're not going to go out and eat these. I mean, if you're going to chew on some alfalfa powder, good for you. But let's just do it this way. It's a little bit easier. SP Cleanse. Now, this is the most important product this first week. And I'll go over how we do the supplementation at the end here. But this actually promotes phase 1 and phase 2 liver detox because of several different things. But it encourages the gastrointestinal to kind of the walls to get cleaned out in there, makes the kidney is the phase 3 of the transport for the liver detox, and then your purification of your lymphatic also. So of all these products in here, this product right here is a Spanish black radish root. You would never eat a Spanish black radish. It is the most vile. It's spicy, but it's just not something you would eat. So we mix it in this. So that's why you wouldn't really, you can mix this in your shake, but it's spicy. So I just would take the capsules. It's really easy. So all these things, the diuretic, and you can go online to Standard Process and look at, you can pull up the full tilt boogie report on each product. It's all on there. Nothing has gluten in it, so you're safe with that. The green food is all organically grown, once again, and tremendous. And we use that not till the second week, but it's amazing for healing the liver. Because at the point where we do the detoxification, the liver has to be babied a little bit. So we baby it for a couple weeks as we continue to detox. Gastrofiber, just as it says, fiber, you know, helps to encourage elimination, helps to lubricate the intestines, the GI tract. When we eat food like white flour, sugar, and all that kind of stuff, and we eat those foods that are not good for us, processed, it becomes sticky in our system. And in our intestines, we have outpouchings called haustra. And so when we eat that kind of stuff, it kind of gets in there and becomes putrid. And that's why people have, you know, a bad breath or a lot of gas or, you know, just dental problems. Those things are all responsible for that. So when we eat fiber, it's very hydrophilic, so it gets really big, and it goes through and acts like a bulldozer and kind of scoops out in that haustra to clean that stuff out. So that's another purpose of using the vegetables in this whole process. It also helps to give you, it has a little bit to restore the natural flora in your intestines also. So for extra things, whey protein powder. I like tuna omega oil because this particular one, if you burp fish oil, then it's rancid. If you're buying cheap stuff, don't, because it just is not going to do you any good if it's rancid. And then Gymnema. This is a product we'll talk about the whey. If you're really active, you work out a lot, I always feel like I need a little more protein. Whether I do or not, I like it. So I usually will put 2 scoops of that in with my SP Complete. You don't have to do it. You know, that's fine. And if you want to use like a brown rice protein or an egg white protein, if you're like really, you know, lactose intolerant, if you're lactose intolerant, you should still be okay on the Whey Pro. Lactose is more from like softer cheeses because they have more milk sugar in them. This doesn't have a lot of milk sugar. Your tuna omega oil, this one in particular is really high. The ratio is 5-to-1 in DHA and EPA for the beauty of cleansing the bloodstream, also for the brain for Alzheimer's. It does help to prevent Alzheimer's because when we have food come in, the neurons are kind of processing everything. It creates trash. And that trash is not taken out, then the neurofibrils tangle, which is what causes Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's then, if we use like the omega-3s, we found that it actually helps to take out the neural trash, helps to eliminate the factors of, it's not going to prevent it, but it will help diminish the factors of it. Gymnema. So if you have sugar cravings and you're having a hard time, the Gymnema works really well. It's a Medi-Herb product, which is still along the line with the Standard Process. But it helps for people that have, you know, a little hard time with carbohydrate cravings. Some people, once they get started, they're fine. But if they can't, do it without it, and then we have that available. And you can call Ruth; she'll get you set up with that. I don't think we brought any Gymnema, did we? Okay. So here's the program. So if you get to your book, these are the newest books out. They just redid the whole thing, and I swear. Okay, I'm not going to swear like that kind of swear, but I've been doing this for 13 years. I've been teaching this as a class for that long. I just know somebody was in here. There was a mole. If you watch Blacklist, there's a mole in here that listened to my program because I would give them shopping lists, and I would. So, if you will open to page 11 on your book.
All right, I gotta go get my package.
Oh, here. Well, I'll just give you a book.
That's all right. I had a hard time finding you.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Would you give him a book? He'll give you a book, and that way you don't need that. So on page 21, page 11, this gives you all the vegetables you can eat. And if you want to eat 2 things of broccoli, why, go ahead and do it. All right? On the second page, on the page 12, it gives you the fruits. And if you'll notice there's an asterisk by some of the fruits, those are the ones that are a little higher in sugar. So if you're trying to lose weight, you want to stay with the ones that are a little bit lower in the glycemic index, a little less sugar, like the berries. And you know, if you're going to use a banana, you put a whole banana in there, that's a lot of sugar. So you want to cut the banana down. But I'll talk about shakes and all that in just a second. The legumes, we used to let you have rice on here. We don't do that anymore because it's a sugar and it makes people, you know, not lose weight like they should. So you can have quinoa, which is a pseudo grain. Quinoa cooks just like rice. If you haven't tried it, do so. 1 cup of quinoa, 2 cups of rice. You can use organic chicken stock, make it there. I put some red pepper flakes and some garlic in there, and we serve it that way. I use it as a crust when I make a quiche. Most everybody has, did you get the quiche last time? Yeah, so I may make the quiche again. Next week I'll bring you food, so you can just see that it doesn't have to be boring. All right, oils and fats, so this gives you an idea what you can use. So if you have vegetable oil, canola oil, anything like that, just go ahead and get rid of it because you're never going to use it again after this. And then protein sources. Now you won't have protein for the first 10 days, no animal protein. If you need it, please have it. Don't feel like this is not torture. You're not in prison. So if you feel like you need something and you need a piece of fish or chicken or an egg, please have it. Just follow the guidelines there. If you can do without, and I will tell you that I've done this so many times now that I find that I do it best with the least amount of animal protein. Actually makes me feel the best. So I use it randomly. We always do meatless Mondays in our house, so we kind of do meatless Tuesdays, and you know, we make up words as they go. And then on this next page, on page 14, this is a new addition. They let you have coconut milk, unsweetened, hemp milk, unsweetened. And it gives you all the things you can cook with and raw seeds you can use. I use chia, hemp, and flax seeds in my shake every morning. And then the spices, and then for sweeteners, you know, you can use a little banana, some whole leaf stevia. You know, stevia is permitted, no Splenda, and I'll talk about Splenda, you won't use it again. And then your vinegars are there also. And then on page 15, spring water, no purified water and no distilled water. Distilled water will leach from your body, and you shouldn't drink that anyway. So a spring water or you can do a mineral water, that's fine. And then down at the bottom there it says no nuts, eggs, dairy, grains, processed refined foods, alcohol, caffeine, or tobacco at the top of that list. So if you're already a smoker, I'm not going to tell you to stop smoking. It would be preferable, but I get it. But absolutely no caffeine and no alcohol. It'll taste really good when you're done. It's only 21 days. Okay, so that's kind of the menu you have to choose from. So I'll give you an idea of how that day is going to go. So here's your goal. Eat twice as many vegetables as your fruit. I save my fruit for my shake only. And I probably maybe get 1 or 2 shakes a day, because I don't have time to make a shake, or I have a long day. But I usually do at least one I always do a shake in the morning, and I sometimes will do shake midday, or I'll do it mid-morning if I feel like I'm hungry. So your rule is twice as many vegetables as fruits. So save your fruit for your shakes, okay? And pick fruits that are a little bit lower in sugar. And we'll go over how to make the shakes in a minute. So you can have up to 2 to 3 shakes, 5 at the most, and none of you in here should be drinking 5. So I would say 2 to 3. It should be, you know, more than enough. And if you only have 1, that's fine too. So here's the supplementation for this week, okay? And I know it's going to sound like a lot, because it is, but there's a purpose for it. And you can open them up and put them in your shake if you want. So, and on the back page of your book, this little piece here tears off, you can take it to the grocery store. That's your shopping list here. Here is where your supplement package is right here. Tells you what to do. So you're going to be doing 7 capsules of the SP Cleanse 3 times a day, and 3 capsules of the Gastrofiber 3 times a day. That's 30 pills. It's only for the first week. You'll have a couple SP Cleanse left over at the end of the week. Just toss them in the next day. If you miss some, don't try to double take it, especially with that Spanish black radish. You will not enjoy that. So if you miss it, you can catch it on the end. I mean, at the end of that week, and just put it on for the next day. Okay? So 7 capsules, and if you don't remember, it's on that back page. 7 capsules. I gave you little pill boxes. I make my day up ahead of time. And if I travel, I just put them in a little Ziploc to take with me. So that's really important. You get that set up, because if you don't make a plan, you're going to fail. And I don't want you to fail. And then exercising and sweating daily, drinking plenty of water, all important things. Tuna omega oil, I put that in. That's what I use with I don't put it in the shakes, I just take it. That's something that I do. So now, if you're having trouble, if you feel like the Gastrofiber is not working for you, I usually suggest a whole food fiber. I've used both. I'm not really excited about one or the other that, you have to have this. But I have some patients and you can open up your Gastrofiber pills and put them in your shake if you don't want to take the capsules. If you're doing 3 shakes, put them in your shakes. I wouldn't do the cleanse because just get them down. And I'll talk to you about that. So day 11 through 21, we'll add the meat in, your supplements will change, but we'll talk about that when that comes through that, so I'm just going to move on from there. So your beverages, you can have, it says 8-ounce glasses. People like to have a number. I have to have a goal, so I put that down there. If you can do that, that's great. I can't do that. Green tea, even though it has a little caffeine, you're permitted to have it, or any kind of herbal teas that don't have caffeine. I've got the one that's like a black cherry, one of those celestial seasoning teas that I like, and I do a green tea also. If you want water, if you want something different, I do a sparkling water. I put a little lime in it or lemon in it. That's fine too. I drink the LaCroix water. They come in the can. They have a cherry lime that I use, so that's all fine. So to avoid. So if it's not in this book, you can't have it. Simple as that. So don't call us out, well, can I have? No. Is it in the book? No. You can't have it. So if you're in doubt, just avoid it. If it's not listed, can't have it. So margarine, spreads, corn oil, vegetable oil, Crisco, safflower oil, sunflower oil, and all hydrogenated oils and trans fats out of your diet. Cannot have them. If you have them in your cabinets, you need to get rid of them. Just make them go away. Give them to somebody you don't like. Don't give them to your friends. That's not fair. This is really important. For one real quick reason I'll tell you is that these oils they're hydrogenated, and I'll talk about that next week, or the week after, but these have to be taken to a very high temperature to bring them to a boil. Well, our body temperatures are 98.6. So when you eat these oils, your body temperature is never going to get hot enough to burn those oils off. That's how they get trapped in our body, and that's where cellulite comes from. So that's why it's really important to get this out, with all the other things too. So that's why we want to do olive oil, coconut oil, and things like that, because they don't have a very high point of boil or heat point, so they'll get through your system better. No caffeine or alcohol, no coffee, tobacco, or other stimulants, no soft drinks, and no juices either, because juices are very high in sugar. No nuts, beans, or grains, and avoid canned foods. You can have frozen. Fresh is better, of course, and if you can get organic, you'd be my best friend. And I'll tell you this, and you'll be jealous, but I get organic, local, fresh farm stuff sent to my house on Wednesdays. It's awesome. You don't have that in Winter Park, do you? See, that's what you get for living out in the country. All right, so, these are just some things that people talk about. But I want to I'll just leave that up so you can read that. So here's what I want you to know. When you make a shake, here's how I make a shake. So I'm going to give you how I make a shake and how I do my day. Here's how I make my shake. I have a NutriBullet. I'm like so high on a NutriBullet that I can't stand it. So if you don't have a NutriBullet and your blender's on the fritz, invest in it. Get your Bed Bath & Beyond coupon for $5, 20% off. Go get it. It's $100. It'll save you. But if you need to get a new one, they now have the Mac Daddy, which is a little bit more expensive, but go for it. So I use NutriBullet and use a blender. So I put in about half a cup of water and half a cup of coconut milk. I use unsweetened. I put all my scoops of SP Complete, which will be 2 scoops, and I do a heavy scoop of the whey protein powder. I put chia seeds, hemp seeds, flax seeds. You don't have to do that. If you don't do that, I'd put a little flaxseed oil if you have it. Don't use coconut oil because it gets real globby when it gets cold. And then I put my fruit in. Now I am blessed to have a banana tree from my neighbor that winters here, and so in the summer he's not there, and I don't want those bananas to go to waste. So I confiscate those bananas, and because I know there's nothing been sprayed on them or anything like that, so I wait till they're almost ripe, peel them, break them in half, and put them in. They're little bananas. So if you have a good size of banana, peel it, break it into 3 pieces, put it in the freezer in a Ziploc, and use just 1 piece. And then I use a cup of berries, like blueberries or strawberries. I kind of go on kicks right now. I'm a banana blueberry, and I have a papaya tree that is loaded with papayas. I will bring some in if you like papaya. If you don't really like papaya, it's really great. I put it in the shake because it's so valuable. It's so nutritious. It has so many great things about it. So I put my fruit in there, screw the lid on, zip it. Now, if you want to add a little stevia to it, if you'd like it a little bit sweeter, that's fine. I zip it up and make my shake. I take my morning pills with my shake. You don't want to take your pills with food. You want to take it with your shake. So you can take your supplements with your shake an hour before you eat or 2 hours after you eat. So what I do is I make my shake in the morning. I take my supplements with my shake. An hour before I have lunch, I sometimes have before I have a snack, I usually take my pills. I'm not a big snacker, so you'll have to kind of gauge it how you do it. Have your lunch. Mid-afternoon, if you want to have a shake, great, take your pills then, or take them before dinner. So what I do is I take mine with me, and on my way home from work, I just take my pills. It's an hour for me to drive home. Or you could take them before you go to bed, that's fine. But 2 hours after you eat or 1 hour before you eat. Or if you're taking it with a shake, no problem. And I said, if you want to open, the next week when we change the supplement structure, you can just dump them all in your shake. That's fine if you do 3 shakes. Okay? So that's how you do your shake. I've given you shake recipes. You can be creative. Those are just guidelines. So that's what we try to we'll make sure you have some recipes. Then here's how I do my diet for the day. When you go to buy your vegetables, only buy for maybe 3 days, because what you really like in the beginning, you get tired of quick, or you may want to try something new. I ate the heck out of collard greens, and then I haven't touched many collard greens since then, because I ate so many of them, because I was like, oh, this is so good. Now I'm kind of hooked on kale. Kale, yeah. So we do a lot of massaged kale salads, and if you've never massaged kale, it's awesome salad. So I'll give you some recipes on that. So I do my shake in the morning with my pills. Mid-morning, I may have some vegetables, chopped up. Prepping is always great. Have the stuff done in Ziploc bags you can just take out with you, okay? For lunch, I try to have a salad. If you go to Panera's, you can do a salad there. Just get an apple instead of the bread. Ask for your dressing on the side. And use lemon. I just use lemon on my, I'm not a big, dressing eater either. There are some dressing recipes in here that are really good, so you can make your own dressing. You can make great salsa and guacamole in the NutriBullet. Awesome. So I'll make up that. Guacamole you can't make up too far ahead of time, but salsa you can make up ahead of time, and put that over your vegetables and make it tasty. For mid-afternoon, maybe I'll have a shake, or I'll have another snack. I'll usually do some vegetables. If I'm only going to do 1 shake a day, I may have a fruit in the afternoon. I may have an apple, something like that. And then for dinner, I like to have a hot meal, so I do a lot of roasting vegetables. If you keep it simple and want to steam them, that's fine. I roast vegetables all the time with a little bit of olive oil, and it's just amazing. It changes the whole taste of Brussels sprouts. We saute eggplant in a little bit of olive oil or a little bit of coconut oil, and it just gives it a really nice flavor. If you're going to use coconut oil, Nutiva is what I recommend. Nutiva. It's from, you can get it at Publix. This is not a commercial for Publix.
How do you spell it?
Nutiva. And that works on, that's one of the purest, because if you get something that's not pure white, it's been hydrogenated. If it's yellowish looking, not good. So you can use that to roast your vegetables in, or that heats up higher than olive oil. So I'll use that a little bit more. In the oven, when I bake, roast things, I put that in there. So I've got some recipes in there for that. There's some recipes in the book. And you can get creative. So I always like to have a hot meal at night. So I'm a Libra, so I like color, like it has to be pretty. So it has to look nice on the plate. So I present dinner. So I have square plates now. That looks really cool. So I'll present dinner. And I'll give you more ideas for food, but you'll have to get into a rhythm what works best for you. Okay? So you can have, if you're not eating food, then you're not doing it right. The supplementation is to work on the liver. The shake is to kind of satisfy your needs and has some more benefit to that. But you want to eat the foods, and once you trying to get local, try to get organic. That's going to be your best foods for you. I can't say that I haven't had something from Publix that I know wasn't organic. I've done it. I'm desperate where, I've got, I don't have anything in the house, or we ate all the vegetables, and, I go to get the organic, there's nothing there, I have to get I do what I have to do. Always have fresh, frozen vegetables in the freezer, so you have something you can do easily. My vegetables, if they start getting bad, I freeze them. I put a handful of kale in my shake. I freeze my kale. I freeze my spinach when it starts to get like where I wouldn't eat it for a salad. I just throw the whole bag in the freezer. And then I put a handful of that in my shake. You won't even taste the difference. So a handful of kale or a handful of spinach in your shake is also easy. And same thing with my fruit. I had blueberries. We were out of town, and they were getting on the edge where I probably wouldn't pop one in my mouth. But they were still good. They were really sweet at that point. So I just poured the whole thing. I'd already rinsed them. I'd already poured the whole thing in. Froze it. We used them in the shakes this morning. So, for you, prepping and planning, have things done ahead of time. If it's a family thing, have your husband, wife, partner cook with you. That's what we do at home. It makes it easier. We do a little Chopped, the TV show Chopped, put some things out and see what you can create with it. Make it fun, make it tasty. And we try different things like massage kale salad. You take your kale and you put a little olive oil, a little bit of lime juice. I put a little bit of avocado and knead it for about 3 or 4 minutes. Changes the whole texture of it, and it brings out a sweetness in it. And then I put some red pepper flakes in there, some tomatoes, and whatever vegetables you want to do, and it's just amazing. And you can keep it for a day or two, and it's okay. So, that's easy, and you wouldn't think about it. And if you don't know how to do it, Google massaged kale salad recipe, and it'll tell you. And they'll have there's a YouTube lady, she just was massaging the kale, and it's it's kind of fun. Kale doesn't really they don't moan or groan or anything. Kale doesn't make any sound. All right, so let's see. I think these are all just. This is one of my big beefs. Really, our kitchen is our pharmacy and our food is our medicine. So, I love that. This is what our pharmacy should be like. So we've got 21 days. You start, here's what I like for you to do. If you feel like you're ready and you have some stuff at home, start tomorrow morning. If you feel like you don't have everything together, I want you to start on Wednesday. I don't want the pressure on it, but I want you can start. But if you feel like you're ready to go and you can get started right tomorrow, start tomorrow. If you feel like you need time to do some shopping and get some things organized, wait till Wednesday. Don't put the pressure on there. It usually takes about 2 days for your body to kind of get used to changing and getting used to that. And what will happen is after the first week, you'll be less hungry. What you will notice is that we'll become like babies, dogs, and cats. You feed them, they poop. We'll get your system working like that this first week. And as soon as I drink my shake, it's like, okay, because your body's just ready to eliminate. And that's the whole process of this. We're the ones that train ourselves to do that once a day or once every 3 days. That's toxic waste in there. We want it out. So by the end of the detox, you'll notice that there's less volume, maybe less often because you're utilizing everything because you're eating good food. So we're kind of cleaning up the debris from the damage that's been caused. Okay. Question time. So I know everybody feels like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do this. I promise you. I've had people like Burton that I didn't think could do it, and he did it several times.
Several times.
Yes, question.
I have a couple questions.
Okay.
You said coconut milk, and I wonder why not almond milk.
It's a nut.
Oh. Well,
That's the only thing. Because nuts are, a lot of people are allergic to nuts,
okay,
and nuts are a little higher in fat.
okay.
So we try to stay away from those. You can have them after the detox. I mean, I use nuts, cashews, and almonds frequently in my diet, but just not during the detox. I mean, that's probably one of the things besides wine that I miss is the nuts.
Okay.
So that's the reason why.
And then, if we could eat oranges, which is on the approved fruit list, why can't we drink orange juice if it's just plain orange juice?
If you would take an orange and just one orange and drink the juice of that, that's fine. But no, we drink 8 ounces of juice. So the question was, why can't you have an orange? And if you can have an orange, why can't you have orange juice? It's just so much sugar in the juice when it's so concentrated. But you can squeeze that in there. I should have some Meyer lemons. I'll try to bring some Meyer lemons in. I may have some avocados. I'm really blessed where I live. I have all this organic stuff. I have bees. You won't get honey this year, maybe next year. But that would be why, because there's so much sugar in it.
Okay, thank you.
If you can have coconut milk, can you have grated coconut?
If you can have coconut milk, can you have grated coconut? Sparingly if you get the unsweetened organic coconut, very sparingly, okay? Because it's high in calories, so we want to watch that. Any other questions, Karen?
What about edamame?
Edamame is would be considered a bean, and it's a soybean, so not on the detox. I know it's hard, but you can make some. You can make hummus because you can use some chickpeas, and so you can make some hummus. So there's things you can do, and there's a website called detoxinista.com. She does a blog, but she's got a lot of recipes you may be able to alter and play around with. But she does a lot of paleo kind of diets and some grain-free diets and vegan diets. Yes.
So you mentioned you can have hummus?
Yeah. If you're going to have hummus, you want to make sure you read the label on it. Make sure it doesn't have any. There's not many out there. There's only one I can't remember the name of that is okay hummus, because they have trans fats in them, and they have a bunch of other stuff in them. So there's one, and I can't remember. There's one that's made out of vegetables. Do you have that? Does your mom have that recipe? Can you maybe get that? We'll get a recipe for you for next week for a vegetable hummus that you can make with your NutriBullet. I don't get royalties for that. I just love it. And it has a milling blade in there, so I make my own quinoa flour. And you could actually, I made a quinoa flatbread, like a pizza, with quinoa flour and flax seeds that I just milled in my NutriBullet with a milling blade and made a little crust with it with a little bit of water, and then made a little pizza.
And that's the bigger NutriBullet, or what's the
No, I have the regular size. They have the newer one. I mean, if you're going to go for getting one, I would get the one that's the motor's a little bit more powerful.
we have that Vitamix.
It's so hard to clean.
I know, that's what I keep telling my husband. He keeps going, we got that, why would you want to get that?
Well, here's the Vitamix is a great thing, and it heats stuff like if you want to make soup, which is great, but it's a bear to clean. The NutriBullet, in 10 minutes, I can have all my shake stuff out, make my shake, wash my NutriBullet, have my shake, have everything put away and out the door in 10 minutes. And that's why I like it, because the blade is here, and it's so easy to wash. The blade is there, and to take a blender apart every time is just a pain in the butt. And it's sharp, especially if you have a Ninja. Those are really sharp too. And this one, you don't really, the blade is not sharp like that. Question?
How many shakes did you say that you can?
You can have 3 a day.
3 a day?
Yeah. We'll give you a little remedial after this.
Okay, I need that.
The whole leaf stevia.
Right.
How is that different
Ye-
from stevia in the raw?
Just read the ingredients. I mean, you can have stevia. There's Truvia, and the Truvia has a little bit of a sugar alcohol in it, so that may cause a little gastric disturbance. But you want to do the whole leaf stevia, and there's little packets of it. I mean, you can buy it. Just read the label on it. I can't remember do you remember the sugar in the raw? And the stevia in the raw?
Stevia in the raw.
I have to look at the box. Read the label, and just see. Look at the whole leaf stevia box, and then look at that. Make sure there's nothing extra in there. Any questions? Yes.
I know I can look at the tape.
Right.
The asterisk again is to...
Yeah, right down at the bottom, it tells you, the asterisk on the fruit list tells you which fruits are higher in sugar. So you want to limit those. So you can go on the Google low glycemic, and that'll give you the lower sugar foods.
25
Right.
Any specific kind?
Well, I use the standard process because it's clean. It doesn't have any stuff in it, and I'm real picky about that. I mean, I don't want any. I'm trying to do a good job detoxing, so I don't want to add something that, My thing I always tell patients is, like my runners, I'm like, you don't go to Kmart and buy your running shoes. If you're a golfer, you don't go to Kmart and buy your golf clubs. So why would you go to Kmart and Publix and buy your supplementation? Because it's going to be cheaply made, and that's why it's so cheap. And it's mostly synthetic, so it's not good for you. So I'm clear with what the ingredients are. So another thing I'll tell you, they came out with a book. The book is $20. Standard Process put it out, and it's really well done. But it has 21 days, and each day it takes a vegetable or a fruit and gives you several recipes for it. So it's really well done. I have some of these available, and if you want one, you can take it, and we'll call Ruth, and you can settle up with her. But it's really well done. I like it a lot. So you can, give you some ideas. But, Google, remember it's a verb. You can find information out from anywhere now. So you can alter recipes to make them fit into your realm. All right, any other questions? Yes?
I do. If you could just talk one more time about the water, and I don't understand why I couldn't use like tap water through my Brita filter.
Is it city water?
Yeah,
Okay, well, all the chemicals, even though you have a Brita filter, it doesn't get all the chemicals out.
okay.
So I would get some spring water just for the detox. And then after that, I have a well, so I'm on well water, so we still have a filter on it, but I still will get a spring water that I...
What about reverse osmosis?
Reverse osmosis, okay, but if it's coming from city water, you're still getting, it doesn't clean all the chemicals out. So I'd have to do a little more research on that. I've not had that question before, so I can get back with you on that. So if you're using water, no tap water because of the city water. If you're in the country and you're in a well, even though I'm on a well, I had my brother, he's a biochemist, I had him test it, and our water's really clean, so I can drink that. But, we have a lot of stuff that goes into our soil and chemicals and aqueducts and aquifers and all that kind of stuff, so we're pulling from that. So, I like a spring water the best because it's the cleanest. All right, any more questions? All right, so I will see you back here. Let's meet at, can everybody get here by 6:45? Without the rain? 6:45, okay? All right, so will 6:45 be okay for you? Okay. All right, so I'll see everybody next week, 6:45. If you have questions, my email address is not on there anyplace. Write down my email address.
When can we view YouTube?
We'll find out. dr.b12, that's dr.b12 @earthlink.net.